Let's go to reverse the stream. Um, okay, so for those if you're new with us, we are from Norwich Youth for Christ. We're a bunch of youth workers, and yeah, we're Christians. So we do every week just spend a couple of minutes, and it is just a couple of minutes, just looking at a verse in the Bible and trying to understand that, what that means. And I've picked a really simple one today. It's from Luke chapter 6, verse 31, and it's a phrase that Jesus said, which is just simply, do to others as you would have them do to you. Um, yeah, this is probably something really well known. You might have even had this in an RE lesson. Sometimes treat others as you would have them treat you. That's sometimes how it's also translated. It's kind of referred to as like the golden rule. In Matthew's Gospel, it even says, actually this sums up the law and the Old Testament prophets, and it's a really great rule to live by, but it is somewhat sort of countercultural. And what I mean by that is it's not always treating people. If you understand it and do what it really means, what Jesus meant, it's not treating people as they deserve to be treated. Because often what we do is this is how we treat people. Um, we would treat people usually based on how they treat us. Okay, so if you make me feel good, then I will make we like that, don't we? Someone treats us well. We enjoy that. We appreciate that, and so my natural response to that is, well, I want to treat you well because you've treated me well. I want to treat you well because I want you to keep treating me well. And so there's nothing wrong with that. It's entirely sort of human and natural. But essentially, it's a self-serving way of doing things. In other words, we treat people well because we know, it's got our own interests at heart to that. And Jesus, by saying "do to others as you would have them do to you," it kind of turns it on its head. It's like it's not saying necessarily treat people based on how they treat you. It's put yourself in their shoes. How would you want them to treat you? And therefore, I want you to do that to them. And that means that even when they've treated you badly, like, you shouldn't treat them badly in response. You should still have in mind, how can I kind of treat them in the way that I would want to be treated. And that means, that even if we don't get those positive vibes from people, even if they're rude, difficult, arrogant, nasty, it is trying to think, actually, even though I feel like they deserve something else, they deserve me to say get lost. Actually, we're saying, no, we're not going to do that. I'm going to put myself in your shoes and say, even though, how would I want to be treated as a person? And I think that's a really challenging thing to think about in the context of the world right now. Absolutely kind of, um, I'm very, you know, concerned isn't the right. Maybe I am concerned. I'm concerned about what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and I feel for what is going on. There are a lot of innocent people there who are, caught up in essentially what politicians and what they want. And it's we've obviously played a computer game, which is, there's people running around, big machines, guns, but we know at the end of the day that's a game. That's gonna it's cool to watch. It's wow, it's amazing, but it's not real, and I can turn it off just like that. I can save it. I can come back to it. If I die, I come back. But the situation in the world is not a game, and that is a worry. Um, but one of the things that we can do is we can end up demonizing people, and you know even though these awful things are going on, it's really worth just thinking, well, how do we treat people, and how would I want to be treated? How do we treat the Ukrainians, but also how do we treat Russians? And how, you know and here's the thing, like, even a lot of Russians don't even agree with what's going on. You know, they're kind of caught up in it as much as anybody really. You know, and I know there's been a lot of people who have spoken out about it. There's protests happening, you know, in Russia, and that's good. But you know, I'm sure there are some Russians who do feel like this is the right thing to do for whatever reason. And there will be some Ukrainians, and I've even heard it. Seen some Ukrainians who are like, you know, we need to kind of like almost the language sounds like we just need to wipe them out, and like neither of that is particularly helpful. You know, I'm no politician, and I don't know what the solution would be, but I do know is, you know, how do we treat people even if they're our enemies, and how do we do to them as they would have them do to us? It's a really hard kind of teaching to live by, but it is one that Jesus calls us to, and I want to do that. Okay, that's a macro example. That's a big one, but I am wrestling with that now. I bought a brand new controller today. Bought it on Amazon. That will come tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. But it's a lot of money that I've spent on a piece of equipment, and I'm thinking, for the Ukrainians, you know, how would I want to be treated? You know, and is there something that I can give to what is going on, to the thousands of people who are being displaced and are running away from their home? If that's too big of a question for you, then let me boil it down into another example. You know, like when I'm playing games, I come across toxic people all the time, way too much. Happens in Rocket League, happens in Apex, and I understand it, I get it. You know, people get wrapped up in the moment and they want to win, and then they just say rude things, and it's just unnecessary because it's a game. I got it today, and I was using Marcos's controller, trying to work it out, and I wasn't particularly very good with it. And in in an Apex match where I got more damage than anyone else, more kills than anyone else, my team got frustrated because they were all downed, and it kind of rested on me, and I didn't perform very well in that moment. And his comment was, "Oh, just a noob, crypto." Rah, 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 rah. It was unnecessary, and my immediate natural response was to write rah, 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 nasty things. I didn't in that moment. I did respond, but I just put lol, and that was it. I wish I could say that I did that every time and I washed it off. There have been times where I've got frustrated equally at a person and said things that I shouldn't have done. But do to others as they would have them do to you. Even when they're getting frustrated, angry, annoyed, toxic, don't respond with toxic comments as well. Okay, treat them how you would want to be treated, even if they're not treating you how you want to be treated. So there we are. Yeah, do to others as you would have them do to you. Cool, great. That is today's verse of the stream. Please do pray for the Russia and Ukraine situation. I do think there is things that we can do about that, and also Youth for Christ are doing a fund actually. Maybe we'll try and find the link and pop that in the chat. But they are raising money for the Youth for Christ centres in Slovakia and. I think it's I can't remember the other Youth for Christ Centre, but they're basically housing Ukrainian refugees and trying to look after them. So we'll try and find that link and pop that in the chat if you can help. That would be really helpful. Great. Okay, that's today's verse of the stream.